when I was young, I always used to think, you know, how exciting it would be to have a "This Is Your Life," you know, never expecting I would ever do it. But when it actually did happen, I was filming at Heathrow Airport. I was doing a little telly thing. It was very light-hearted, you know, it wasn't sort of heavy. So I was having quite a nice time. It was towards the end of our filming. So there was a feeling amongst the crew and everybody that we'd sort of got everything we needed. It was just, you know, making sure everything was tied up. And then suddenly, Michael Aspel walked on. And the first reaction, I'm feeling it now, is that you just think, oh my goodness, it's me, it's happening, you know. So you get a bit of a shock, and then you feel a bit emotional, and then very excited for the first few minutes. I didn't know what to say. It was very exciting. And everybody on the set, you know, the crew that were still around, you know, all applauded and everybody was smiling. It was a very, very lovely moment. Once the surprise had happened and everybody had sort of recovered, you sort of stand there a bit in shock. And he said, well, off you go then. Go and get yourself dressed, get yourself sorted, get back to the studios. I'm going to whisk you off there now, you know. So it all happened very fast. And then I went to the studios, got myself ready, and then there seemed to be a sort of bit of a hiatus, I suppose, while they get people together, where you're kind of left kind of to think about it. So there was a sort of moment of sort of, well, I wonder who's going to be there. Will so-and-so be there? Have they managed to contact that person? Will I know everybody? Will I remember them? You know, all that goes through your head. And then I just thought, you know what, just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. This is a moment in your career that you can look back on where you were the person that was on that programme. This is your life. So just let it go. So I did, I relaxed. Brian, of course, it fell upon him, of course, being my husband, to find the dress, the right dress, the shoes, the jewellery, to make sure all the accessories with that outfit were there. He's an artist, my husband, so he's got quite a good eye. And in fact, the dress that I wore, he bought me. So he obviously went for something that he'd given me, you know, and it was perfect. And of course, as soon as my husband came on, Brian, came on right at the top of the programme, that was it for me. I was sort of already in that moment and ready to take on whatever came, you know, all the people that came through the door. It was very emotional, I have to say. And it's also wonderful that people that were very important in your life, in your formative years, like at school, who you haven't seen for a long, long time, there they are, again. And you can actually say, I'm getting emotional now, but you can actually say to them, thank you so much, because this is what you did, this is what you gave me, and if you hadn't given me that encouragement, that confidence, I wouldn't be standing here now. So it was very lovely. I was incredibly thrilled that both my English teachers were there. Miss Fairclough and Mr. Holland both came on. She looked remarkably the same as I remember her, actually, Miss Fairclough. But Mr. Holland, my first English teacher when I was at junior school, he encouraged me to act. He used to put me in all of the plays and said, you've got a calling, you know, you should follow it. And of course I forgot it after I left and went to grammar school, but luckily Miss Fairclough was there to sort of remind me of the written word. I think it did pick out seminal moments. I mean, a lot of the people that walked on, like Josie Lawrence, you know, we worked together in a play that was one of the most important plays I think I've ever done. And Amanda Holden couldn't be there, so she sent a video, bless her. And we'd worked together a couple of times. I had been out of the soap, even though we talked about it a lot, and they brought quite a few of the cast on. But I think, having created a character like Angie, I mean, I adored her, and I understood her. I think the country just took her to heart. They loved her because it was like looking at yourself. You know, all the different ways she was, you know, in a corner, huddled up in tears with a rubbishy old dressing gown on and makeup streaming down her face, you know, from the night before. You know, we've all been there, you know, and then turning up the next evening, you know, looking at our $1 million in the pub. We love that. If they dwelt on it, that's why, for me. And that's why people still talk about the divorce papers now, because that moment, not just for the country and the soap, but for me, Anita Dobson, was a very important turning point in my life. It was iconic, you know, the moment he says to her, I'm leaving you, you know, and it was for me too. She was big in my life, and so I'm proud that she was big in the country's life. My mum was getting very slow. The early stages of dementia, I think, were setting in. And her legs weren't good, and so her mobility wasn't very good. And so I didn't know if she would make it onto the programme, you know. But she did. She knew something fabulous was happening, and she knew it was good because she could tell by my face, and she recognised lots of people there, but she did have a slight air of confusion about her. But for me, it was the jam on top of the donut, you know, that she came through that door with dear Laurie pushing her, bless him, looking after her so well in the wheelchair. It was wonderful, wonderful to have her there. For me, it was fantastic, yeah. And it was important. Yeah, it felt like a celebration and a party, and a sort of, like somebody had done a wonderful thing, which Michael Aspel, being the host, did, that had brought together lots of strains of your life to say. And it was funny, because calling This Is Your Life, I thought, well, it's not completely finished yet. But I've got another bit to come yet. But it's like, this is your life so far. So it just reminds you the path that you trod to get to who you are, and the people that you met along that path who helped to form you into the person you've become. So, yeah, it's wonderful to sit and talk about it and remember. I mean, I was young then, you know, back in the day. And I'm getting on now. I'm in the winter of my years, early winter albeit, but definitely the winter. And so it's lovely to look back and feel uplifted, I suppose. I still get great joy out of life, and I'm still making wonderful new friends, but there's some in your life that you never forget. You never forget. And quite a few of them were on that programme, and it was lovely, just lovely. I felt lucky that it was happening, and I felt like a lucky person, and what the show was saying was, look how lucky you've been. And being on This Is Your Life said to me, you did good. You did something that people are happy about, and we're celebrating it.